Good evening. Welcome to the Farming Podcast brought to you by Private Property. My name is Nwoko, your host every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. right here on the Private Property channel. Today we're speaking about Agri Associations. So if you've ever started farming or just ever felt if there are any organizations or associations that represent farmers and you've wondered where they are, where they're situated, well, I'm glad to inform you that we've got a fantastic young leader who is the CEO of a Agri Association based in South Africa. And he will tell us about his journey into agriculture and more so what the association does, who it represents, the type of farm it represents, and the work that they're doing on the ground. I know farming can be very lonely, as they say, entrepreneurship can also be a very lonely journey. So if you found yourself quite lonely as a farmer, needing advice, needing a network or a group of farmers where you could really rely on, get some industry information, statistics, I'm sure this conversation tonight with Francois would be one that is valuable to you. And as always, please like, share, comment on this episode. Also, engage with us live, ask our guest questions, and we're happy to answer live onto the show. If you missed this evening's episode, you could catch it on YouTube channel under the Private Property channel under the Farming playlist, Farming Podcast playlist, and that's where you get all the content that we've had so far. We are going for episode 90 very soon, so it's been so fantastic to see this platform grow, and most importantly, see you guys at home engaging and interacting with us here on the Farming Podcast. Well, let's get right into it, and let's introduce Francois Rossouw, who is the CEO of SAI organization. Francois, how are you doing? And thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, Mbali, and good evening to your viewers. Thank you for having me.
Fantastic. It's been a bit of a while since we last spoke, but I'm happy to have you on this particular show. And I'm going to ask you as if I don't know you, but just tell us basically who you are, what does SAI represent, and who does SAI represent? So the type of farmers does SAI represent, and with which geographic region, if possible?
Mbali, SAI was created in February 2019 within the context of the United Nations Decade of Family Farming. And the United Nations decided to launch this decade because they saw that family farmers were in the best possible positions to eradicate poverty, to address climate change, to stop migration to cities, to create jobs. And in order for them to promote the family farmer, they created this decade to create awareness and to channel funds to help family farmers get established and provide a platform for them. So our board chairman, Dr. Theo de Jager, came back that year, and he decided to set up a structure which is very unique, that simply caters only to family farmers. And when I talk about a family farmer, it means any person that makes a living with their hands in the soil. So it reaches across industries, across borders. It's irrespective of race, age, or any other barrier that there is. But we also only simply cater to family farmers. And it's something that we've labeled as an open economy organization, which simply means it's a minimalist form of an organization that concentrates on the most essential focal points. And in our case, it's family farmers and it's technology. And we outsource as many of the related functions as possible to our network partners that have specialized capacity to serve those interests and that has a shared value with us. So as an organization, we've really grown these past 2 years. We've grown to about 8,000 members, spread equally across South Africa, from industries such as parrots to wine farmers to horse owners, anybody that is seen as a family farm.
Yeah. And so tell me, Francois, then what is required from members when they join SAI? So what type of commitment or level interaction or engagement are you expecting from farmers once they become part of the association?
Bali, I think we were very lucky that we decided to do, and then members will follow or join or contribute to SAI. So we do not require anything from our members, but we are lucky that they contribute monthly to the organization. But in order for us to have grown like that, we had to have a value proposition to our members, fighting and promoting the rights, values, ideals, and needs of our members. And I think we saw that most during COVID. Overnight during March 2020, when the lockdown was announced, farmers were very confused and afraid, because how were they going to travel? How are they going to get to the market? How are they going to get their laborers? What is going to happen next? And will there be a future for them? And, overnight we created a digital traveling permit that serviced about 90,000 individuals across South Africa within the farming sector. And we created a network setup that communicates to each and every one of our members and any family farmer. I think that's something that's very unique to SAI, is we don't only service our members, but we try to service the whole of the family farming community in anything that we do, whether it is to provide a digital travel permit, whether it is to assist with the interpretation of new legislation, or whether it is delivering drought relief aid. We do not say, it's only for SAI members, because we are in that lucky position where our members want to contribute to the whole of family farming in South Africa.
And tell me, how do members contribute? So let's say I just want to become a part of SAI organization as of today, or after this conversation, I register, I enter my details onto your association. What happens next? So what am I expecting? What could I be expecting from SAI? Information around markets, tech, legislation. So what happens next after joining the association?
Look, we've got a website, www.sai.org. There's an easy subscribe option there, or you can just send us a WhatsApp to 066 0716 094. And after members become, a part of the organization, we will also ask you to save that number on your phone, and you will receive daily updates on what the organization is doing. Whether it is introducing you to new technology, or inviting you to a webinar on the latest legislation that was released, or, what is really powerful of direct communication to your members is they keep you abreast of what's happening on the ground. We saw when there were some beneficiaries of land reform in 4 different provinces, we picked up from the communication that, these guys were being moved from their farms to make way for politically connected beneficiaries. And we could stop that within 2 or 3 days by contacting the minister and letting her know of this. If we talk about disasters, the KZN riots, we were immediately contacted by members in the area and said, listen, we've got a real issue here. Are you able to supply us with aid? And we could mobilize our network partners to deliver aid in that area. Just recently we had a webinar on agricultural financing. Nobody knows what is going to happen when land bank goes under, and what are the alternatives, and what are we going to do about it? And I think it boils down to this one thing, that a farmer's job is to farm. They do not have time to come home at night and sit down and say, I've just seen this latest piece of legislation on spatial planning. Let me open the books and go on Google and see what type of opinion I can write and send to government to ensure that it doesn't harm my farming enterprise. Farmers just do not have that capacity. And that is why an organization is so crucial, to stand in for those farmers and as a collective, and to say, look, we have a mandate from family farmers across South Africa. This is our opinion, and this is why we do not want you to implement this type of legislation, or stop this water pollution in Mpumalanga, or stop this mining operation in the Free State, or, a big thing that's coming up is the Food System Summit at the end of September. And it's the UN's agenda to transform the food systems that we do have in order to align more with the Sustainable Development Goals. And there's a huge part of this debate that is anti-animal proteins. And who is going to push back against that when you are up against companies like Clover, Danone, and the like, when you are a single farmer making a living from this type of operation? And that is why it is important for associations like ours to be there.
Wow, really shocking information that you're bringing up to the fore here. Spatial planning, land grabs, the riots that we recently had in July, this food summits, and you're so right. I mean, everybody's, trying to go vegan or vegetarian, and they're saying the cows are bad for, climate change, etc. As much as all these things are happening, and maybe people have their own right to their own opinions, statistics, etc. I think we often forget that at the end of the day, there are farmers on the ground who make a living from this, who make a living by raising cattle or livestock, who are employing people, who are creating communities and small economies in rural areas, peri-urban areas, etc. And so what is the stance for SAI with all of this thing? What happens where in an organization, like you've said, you've reached like 9,000 members, I think. What happens in that instance as an association where you have different farmers with various objectives? Let's just take the meat protein example, for instance. So there might be cattle farmers in part of SAI association, and then there might be, I don't know, let's say organic farmers, who really are interested in, non-pesticides, etc. So how do you manage all the different viewpoints and opinions of farmers, especially when you're trying to lobby or, I suppose, stand for farmers' rights at the end of the day?
Yeah, look, Mbali, I think it's a very good point. How do you get consensus in this atmosphere? But I think, especially with a debate like the Food System Summit and the animal protein debate, I think we can never compromise with science. We can either accept it or we can challenge it with better science. And in this case, the science is totally wrong. We are lucky as an organization to have an exceptional international footprint with scientists from across the world assisting, especially the World Farmers Organization is doing very good work there. But in SAI as well, we've got very good experts here in South Africa on the topic, and we've got very good legal minds that also look at these type of topics. So we always go to the best science. And I think that has always been very beneficial, and it will always be something that we rely heavily upon. So, we may not agree, but it should be objective and not a subjective opinion.
Yeah. And as much as your association exists to help family farmers, what do you say to the naysayers, who have been from one association to the other, to the next, Maybe they're a citrus farmer and they're part of the citrus organization. And then by virtue of being a citrus farmer, maybe in the Limpopo region, and they're part of Limpopo Agri Association, or whatever the case is. So what do you say to the naysayers who've gone through various associations but never have received any form of support for their businesses, information sharing, like you've said, and now they're watching you tonight and thinking, oh, another Agri Association, what do you say to the naysayers, and how can you convince them to really support your stance of why SAI exists?
Yeah, look, Mbali, I think you cannot force someone who is not in a disadvantaged position. I think our best promotion has always been, where farmers have been with their back against the wall. Again, whether it was with a drought or with legal matters, diesel rebates that gone wrong, labor issues. That's why we will never invite ourselves to an area. To all 9 provinces where we've been, farmers has contacted us and says, listen, there is something hugely wrong with our rates and taxes in the town and nobody wants to listen to us. Do you guys have a solution for us? And I think that formula has worked well for us, and we have been able to assist farmers from across South Africa with this issue. So I think if you haven't been in that position, it doesn't help me promising you anything where I'm sitting here. But I think it's something that, should it come up, please feel free to give us a call, because it doesn't take a lot to help farmers out. We are a very small organization, but we have been able to tackle some of the biggest issues in this country, especially during COVID and especially now in these challenging times.
Yeah, you've mentioned a few issues that farmers have experienced, drought on their farms, and, farmers seeking some sort of relief, the various riots. And I suppose another one, which is a very sensitive topic for many farmers, irrespective of race, age, and gender, is the farm violence, etc. Over and above these 3 or 4 that I've mentioned, what are some of the other issues that farmers have experienced on the ground that you have been able to successfully assist farmers with?
Yeah, I think, the various lockdowns, we were very instrumental in opening up the alcohol ban, especially on behalf of family wine farmers, representing tobacco farmers, parrot farmers, assisting horse owners who farm with horses. I would also say, I think one of the biggest other things that doesn't get a lot of attention is the preservation of small towns. I think if there's one thing that is as important to a family farming operation, and that is the clear focus of SAI, is to keep family farmers on their farms and to keep them profitable, it is the preservation of small towns. That is why we make very sure to visit a small town every month or every 2 months to see and to find out what are the challenges to stop this migration from small towns to cities. And that is essentially what robs family farmers from this lifeline that they do have. And I think that is something where we have really been able to get in touch with farmers on the ground and find out what it is that is driving them off their farms. And a lot of it is profitability. I think something that is really going to be the next big disaster is when this whole land bank issues plays itself out. And we should be looking at alternatives, and we've already started these discussions to see how we can start a cooperative bank for farmers, run by farmers. And so, in all of these instances, especially, we've got a lot of legal cases that we are currently running on behalf of communities of family farmers, where we simply cannot afford to lose on these issues. Otherwise, whole communities will be wiped out. We are currently busy supporting the small-scale fishers on the West Coast, with really a plethora of challenges that they are fighting. And so it keeps us busy, and there's a lot of issues to address. But I think we're still very optimistic about the future of farming in South Africa.
Yeah, so let's talk about that optimism. You've been a leader for the organization since inception. You've experienced a lot, you've seen a lot, you've engaged with many, many farmers. And I like the fact that you really don't come from a farming background. You have a legal background as well, and you're a young leader in this space, which is, predominantly made by elder farmers or older farmers, and we could say maybe 50 plus, What does it really take to run a successful Agri Association based on your experience and what you've seen on the ground?
Yeah, I think, first of all, we've got great leadership in SAI. Our organization is run in the majority by family farms. They determine the direction. And of course, we've got a great board chairman in Dr. Theo de Jager, who has seen it all, and he's been on every continent and visited almost every country that has organized agricultural setup. So, that leadership, it's easy to have a clean and especially good clarity of purpose. And that is something that's great. There's no politics within the organization that keeps us down. We get to focus on our mandate of keeping family farmers on their farm. And I think the biggest thing that I feel has been a success to us is we don't talk about farmers, we talk to farmers. They let us know what are the issues on the ground, and we ask them, in an ideal situation, what would the solution look like to you? And we find a way to get to that solution. And I think what really what really helps us to carry on day through day is just to see the challenges that farmers overcome every day in South Africa. From the international community, I've heard a bunch of times where they just say, they hear about the solution that we are working with, and they say, look, it's only South African farmers that are able to do that. And it's good. I think in the future, there will be very few things that we can't overcome, but also we've got this great thing called technology that is currently assisting us, and it's something we must embrace. We don't have to adopt it, but we have to know about it and know what is out there. And I think for our organization, the next big step is going to be assisting younger farmers organizations. We recently adopted Tax Landbou within our structure, and to see all of those young farmers and what they're looking at and what the future looks like to them, it's very interesting. And it's something that we must really spend more time and effort on, because they are the farmers that are going to farm the future. And it's really worth the investment.
What are some of the opportunities that exist? I mean, from the young farmer members within your network, and just the consensus on the ground from farmers, what are some of the opportunities that lie within the next 12 months to 5 years, perhaps, that you've seen, just to keep farmers still in the industry and keeping them with hope? Because every time we talk about the challenges that exist for farmers, the spirit of farmers being resilient, etc. But just what are some of the opportunities that one could look forward for, whether you're a young farmer or have been farming for 2 or 3 decades? Maybe if you could just highlight some of the few challenges that you're seeing in the horizon. Opportunities that you're seeing in the horizon.
Yeah, look, I think the biggest issue for the farming community is profitability. And I think the barrier to entry, especially for young farmers, is going to be, they are looking at profitability as something that attracts them to agriculture. And we must show them that there is still a profit left within agriculture. I think some of the industries that really get them excited and where they can see a future for is especially the cannabis industry. I see a lot of interest if I see, how many not only agricultural students, but students that are studying something else like engineering and law, etc., that get involved in it. And, that is a huge market in South Africa, which we just not spending enough time on, is part-time farmers. Somebody who has a day job, but their passion is farming. And we must actually try and get them more exposure. Another thing that SAI is currently busy with is the farming of carbon, carbon capturing and carbon credits. We've got some of the greatest grasslands in South Africa, but how do we exploit that in capturing carbon and selling it on the international markets to companies like Boeing or factories where they cannot meet their carbon requirements and have to buy these? This is right back again to this whole discussion about the Food System Summit. Why do you want to get rid of cattle when they are one of the animals that can help us sequestrate more carbon than any other type of solution that we can think of? So these are the type of things that keep us up at night and that keeps us hungry. I think IoT technology, we are busy with some crazy projects, and we are going to try and launch that with the youth organizations, because, the guys tell us, look, we've got the tech, but even if we tell you, you're not going to believe us. So let's put up a farm and let's invite the farmers to come and see what we are busy with. So, I think it's going to be a very interesting time.
Sounds exciting. I mean, just in our conversation, I've learned a few things, and I just didn't know that, someone could the aspect of carbon. Yeah, I think that's just quite mind-blowing. So I think, Sai, just to round off our conversation, we are towards the end of the show. I just want to find out as well, you've mentioned certain challenges, successes, milestones that Sai as an organization has achieved, and a few of your future plans as well. So if somebody's listening at home and really wants to become part of Sai, what would be the pull factor that you could maybe suggest for them to be part of SAI? And how can it benefit their family farm?
Yeah, look, I think it's about a direct connection with an organization that really wants to ensure that you and your family stay farming on your farm and that you stay embedded in that community. Because within that community, you are delivering a service that nobody else can do. And like I mentioned, when we talked about the Sustainable Development Goals, the United Nations and governments has also realized that. So from SAI side, we try to keep a direct connection with our members. And if there is an issue that is troubling you, we usually assist directly, immediately. And I think it's just to be part of that community. And if there is questions, if there is something relating to your property or relating to your market or relating to an opportunity that you're just not sure about, it's that willingness to pick up the phone and talk to any one of us in the office. And I can assure you, within our network, we've got a partner that is able to assist you. And even if you don't have that problem right now, but you have faced it in the past, you will know that a structure like this is necessary. But again, Mbali, like I said, when your back's not against the wall and you don't need it, you can't really convince somebody. But please, even if it happens and you're not a member, we will always be willing to help. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Sai. Now I'm calling you Sai. That's how much you embody and represent the organization. But thank you so much, Francois Rossouw, for your time this evening. I think, please, if you could just reiterate your website once again and that WhatsApp number so that farmers know where to go and just start maybe registering or contacting you to become part of the organization.
Yeah, well, we are available on YouTube. You can subscribe to our channel. We've got a lot of interesting webinars over there. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. You can follow us there. We've got a very active social media channel. Then the number on WhatsApp is 066 071 6094. And yes, our website address, www.sai.org.
Thank you so much. That was Francois Rossouw, CEO of SAI organization, which is SAAI. You could follow them on all the social media platforms and contact them on that WhatsApp number, as he mentioned, to register as a member. And SAI pretty much represents family-run farms. You could be an individual with a private company that you've listed, which is a farm producing any type of commodity. SAI is the association to be a part of. You could be a third or fourth generation farmer, farming in a rural area with your family. And if you're needing support and some additional information or just clarity on certain laws that we have in South Africa pertaining agriculture, definitely, SAI is an association where you could register, become a part of, and get a lot of information and help needed specific to your farm. I hope that you've enjoyed our conversation this evening. And if you've missed this episode, you could catch it on YouTube on our private property farming podcast playlist. And I will see you next week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. with another fantastic guest. Thank you so much for watching this evening. I wish you a great Friday and a fantastic weekend ahead. Thank you so much. Take care.